Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Seasonal Tokens Podcast, where Polar interviews people so you can do more investing and less gambling.
Having big backers is definitely not a guarantee of success. Maybe it decreases the chance of failure, but at the same time, there's so many factors that we don't know about, and sometimes something unexpected bad happens. And when I'm saying this, I'm having in my mind a situation with Terra Luna. I'm sure that you are familiar with that. We know that they have had many big backers, like, for example, Binance, and still we have seen that what has happened with the project in the end. Right now, it seems that the community is trying to revive the project, but who knows if they're going to succeed or not. But in the end, they have had one of the top backers in the VC world. But it seems that maybe the team or the leader of the team was the issue, or maybe the concept of the project was the issue. So, like we said, there are factors that we don't know, and having the biggest backers, that doesn't guarantee anything. So when we talk about investments, what do you think is a more profitable investment? Investing in a project with great hype marketing, or investing in a project that have a consistent but not hype-oriented marketing?
Okay, so I guess a little bit of both is needed, right? If you don't have enough marketing or visibility, even if you're a good project or a good product or service, how good is it if people are not aware of your product or service, right? So the world today is all about shouting as loud as you can to be heard. For the reason being is everyone is fighting for attention, correct? So when you go to a supermarket, right, on the shelf there are so many products, right? So let's say you go just to a chocolate shelf, right? I mean, there's Kit Kat out there, and there's Ferrero Rocher out there, and there's Toblerone out there. Everyone is fighting for shelf space, right? So when I'm taking my kid, and when it's Christmas time especially, right, how does he decide, right? So it's the same right now on projects, right? And the thing about projects is they all come at the same time, if you notice, right? So when it's winter, everyone is quiet. And then when the things turns around, everyone comes at the same time. Now, on an average, in a day in a bull market, I am listening to 10 projects in a day. And what is that one thing that stands out? By the time I go to bed, again, next day, I'm listening to 10 new projects. So I can only think of one or at the most two. And it's not possible to remember all the 10 projects. So you need to stand out. And which is why I think a little bit of both is important.
Yeah, I think that you definitely have right here. But for me, it really depends what are the goals of the project. Because we have seen that most of the meme projects, they focus on the hype marketing and then they disappear. They stop delivering and forget about their communities. But when we talk about more serious projects, they do some sort of a hype marketing, maybe in the beginning or pre-launch. And after that, they focus a lot on consistent type of marketing, like content marketing, for example, or other types of value-giving type of marketing without pushing people to buy their tokens. So I definitely agree with what you're saying. So that's why people should be very careful when they're checking projects and see if these projects are deeply focused on hype marketing or deeply focused only on not high-oriented marketing, and decide what they are looking to achieve with their investment. Is it a very quick profit or a long-term investment? So as a hedge fund owner and owner of a DAO, you have seen many pitch decks. So what we should be looking for in them if we want to invest in one project or another?
Very good question. So here's the thing, right? When I open a pitch deck, what is it that the project is trying to actually solve? And I've seen so many pitch decks, they are too wordy. If I'm in an elevator, let's say with a founder, the lift is going to open in the next 30 seconds. You have to convince me in 30 seconds, what is your project all about? I don't need 20 slides from you to convince me what your project is all about. I need 1 or maximum 2, and 3 is already a lot. If I'm not convinced within the first 3 slides of your pitch deck, I will not even go to the 4th one. So don't make 20, 50, 100 slides. Focus on the first 3. And if the first 3 slides catches my attention, I will definitely look at the remaining slides. So what I want to say over here is, what is it that you are actually solving, that you are providing to the customer? So don't focus too much on features, focus on benefits. That should be your first 3 slide. So like I said, right? Second is, of course, every VC wants to see that you're solving a problem of a big market. Why? Because it's all about valuation, right? If you're solving a small problem, let's say if my target market is only, for example, people who are within the age group of, let's say, teens. It's a very, very small, of course, it's a very targeted market, but it's a small market, right? And then again, within that market, how many of them really have buying power, right? Because they're very much dependent on their parents, right? So as a VC, I will think, right? Okay, fine. First of all, your market is teens, and then they don't even have buying power, which means they can't decide on themselves. They have to depend. So these are things which are very, very important. So the size of the market is important, and the buying power of that market, right? And then why is your product and service is the solution? That's the thing. Everyone thinks that, oh, my product can solve the problem. Everyone believes in that, right? So you have to actually understand and show that I already have customers using my product. It may not be paid. For example, I may have a subscriber list. I'm not charging any of my subscribers right now, but they're all subscribing to my service. And I grew from a list of 100. Now I've got 1 million subscribers. But after a year, I'll start charging. Now that itself is proof that people are using your products and services, which means when you say that your products and services is the solution, this is the proof. So VCs are not necessarily looking at revenue. They're looking at usage. Then comes the next thing is your revenue model. So let's say you have already social proof, people are using your services. Then the question is, your pricing cannot be mispriced. If you misprice your product and service, people will stop using your products and they will go back to their old ways of doing things. Why? Because no doubt you have a great product, but it's outpriced, or it's priced out of the range, right? So what is important is, like I said, traction. Yeah. Any VC is looking for what? Validation. And then of course, what is your go-to-market strategy? How are you going to increase your market share? If let's say there's already existing customers, right? Why will your exchange, there's already Binance, there's already FTX, for example, and you want to launch your own exchange. Or let's say you want to do a DEX, a decentralized exchange. There's already PancakeSwap, there's already Uniswap. What is it? Like I just came back from a presentation yesterday, and they're launching a layer 1 rather. There are already enough layer 1s. Is the market for another layer 1, right? So that's the important question, right? And then of course the team, which I already mentioned, team should have experience. Another thing is financial forecast. Now a lot of token projects, they don't do financial forecast. And if they do, they are not at all realistic. And of course, the use of funds. Now, this is the interesting part, right? Every project will value themselves, oh, we are worth $50 million, we are worth $100 million. Why? Because they look at Axie Infinity, if let's say it's gaming, or they look at, for example, if it's a DEX, they look at Uniswap. If they look at centralized exchange, they look at, for example, Binance. If they look at level 2, they look at Polygon. And they use that as a comparison, right? and they believe that they should get that valuation. But what they don't understand is how many years it took Axie Infinity to get that valuation. How many years it took for Polygon to build that ecosystem. Today, the ecosystem of Polygon is huge. And you're just starting off today and you want to have the same valuation. That doesn't make sense, right?